The Toy Story films that you know and love may not be what they seem. The seemingly innocent stories about toys coming to life may actually dive deeper with hidden meanings, secret information about characters, and connections to TV shows or things like the Illuminati. See how Buzz, Woody, and the gang are all involved in some of the craziest theories to come from the films. You guess which movie is represented by these emoji? Stay tuned at the end to find out. Sid's abusive home. In the original Toy Story, Sid is presented as one of the main villains of the tale. If you really think about it, Sid is not truly a villain at all, but more of a victim. Obviously, he's had neglect issues in the past and he copes with them in unusual ways. His parents don't even realize he's bought a giant rocket launcher through a mail-order company. This is just one of the signs Sid's had a rough childhood. One of the biggest clues of this comes from the dark room Buzz stumbles into when he sees his own commercial on television. Inside the room is Sid's father passed out on a chair with a bunch of soda cans by his side. Knowing it was a family-friendly G rating, Pixar obviously chose to portray random sodas instead of real alcohol. The father is passed out in the middle of the day while his son roams free and no parental bond is showcased between the two. Meanwhile, as Sid gets ignored, he's constantly finding things to do for attention, including the explosives and creating some pretty crazy toy hybrids. Once Sid grows up, he's clearly had a slight change of heart as he rescues thrown away toys and attaches them to the front of the garbage truck he drives. Attack of the Clones. With the release of Toy Story, Pixar was setting up a whole new precedent for the way animated films are made. The animation may pale in comparison to the stunning stories created today, but back in 1995, the whole film was astonishing.
Impressive wingspan.
Obviously, the film had a lot to handle at the time. This included creating all the toys, multiple sets, and the human characters that appear in the story. While a lot of work went into characters like Andy and his mother, there are some characters that obviously were rushed through. This includes all of Andy's friends at his birthday party. If you look closely, a majority of the people in attendance at the birthday party are exact clones of Andy. It's kind of weird to think of multiple Andy characters roaming around the Toy Story universe. A theory about these clones makes you rethink the whole living toys premise. The toys are not actually living, but they're actually advanced government spies checking in on all of the Andy clones to see how their government experiment is actually working. At the end of Toy Story 3, the mission is finally over as Andy gives the toys away and heads off to college, or maybe back to the government lab where he was created. Toy Story 3 and the Illuminati. The internet is obsessed with pointing out references to the Illuminati, and it's no different with the Toy Story series. One of the main films that theorists have focused on is Toy Story 3. By breaking down a bunch of the scenes, there are some subtle references and some more obvious ones to the world of the Illuminati. One of the main symbols of the Illuminati is the pyramid. Lotso Bear and other characters discuss this, specifically saying,
"It's Lotso! He's made us into a pyramid, and he put himself on top!"
Along with the pyramid, the symbol is often drawn with an all-seeing eye on top. Many people speculated Mrs. Potato Head's single eye through the majority of the movie represents this classic Illuminati symbol. Another huge part of the Illuminati is that the human race will be saved by some sort of ship or aliens. Near the climax of Toy Story 3, it's the little green alien toys who use the claw to save Buzz, Woody, and the gang, just as they're about to fall into a giant inferno. With so many clues, this theory is kind of hard to deny.
Yeah, I know, it looks bad, but guys, you gotta believe me.
Sure thing, college boy.
Disney's changing of the times. In the original Toy Story, the biggest clash between characters was with the toys Woody and Buzz.
He's not a space ranger. He doesn't fight evil or shoot lasers or fly.
Woody's an old school toy with a pull string and not too many features. Buzz is the ultimate modern toy with pop-out wings, a laser beam, and several voice commands. Not only did this represent the state of children's toys, but it was a pretty great metaphor for all of the major changes at Disney and Pixar. Basically, Disney was the Woody and Buzz is Pixar. Disney had a little trouble accepting the downfall of traditional animation and the presence of CG animation by Pixar. While it all worked out in the end and now Disney thrives on animated hits like Moana and Frozen, it wasn't always like this. After seeing Toy Story, you may have realized traditional animated classics like The Lion King and The Little Mermaid would no longer get made. Behind the scenes, traditional animators were losing their jobs to new workers who would create animations and designs all on computers. The world of animation was turned upside down, and even though there's a happy ending in both Toy Story and real life, there were a lot of feelings hurt along the way. The origins of Andy's father. One of the biggest mysteries in the Toy Story franchise is the origin of Andy's father. The filmmakers had 3 films to clear this storyline up but missed the opportunity every time. Because they ignored the subject altogether, it left the floodgates open to theorists. Artist and YouTuber Mike Mozart delivered one of the more convincing theories that Andy's dad actually died when Andy was really young. The theory goes on to explain that Andy's dad was also named Andy and had Woody as a child. This explains why Woody had no other owners, and why Andy's mother refuses to sell Woody at a yard sale in Toy Story 2. She even explains that it's an old family toy.
I'm sorry, it's an old family toy.
The theory also points to the Andy signatures on Buzz and Woody's feet and how different they are. Woody's Andy signature was actually written by the father and not the son. Another piece of evidence comes from the sale of the house. Andy's mom is selling the house because it actually belonged to the father before he passed away. Inside the house are images on the wall many people assume are a young Andy, but they're actually of his father, as proven with an image of a young boy with glasses. Andy is a Marxist. It's only natural for Disney and Pixar to capitalize on the success of Toy Story. Through the years, there's been a countless amount of merchandise released, including replica toys, remote control cars, and video games. While fans gobbled up all these items, the characters in the film were acting materialistic as well. By analyzing scenes from all 3 movies, many people have theorized Andy and his family are all Marxists. One of the keys to being a Marxist is focusing on materialism. As much as Andy loves his toys, it's clear he usually wants the newest and best ones. In Toy Story, his love for materialistic things can be seen in the montage to the song Strange Things. Getting the new Buzz Lightyear wasn't enough. He had to replace all his old Woody items with blankets, posters, and a ton of other bedroom decorations. In Toy Story 3, we see the same thing has happened to Molly. She ditches Barbie for MP3 players and is more worried about getting Andy's room than seeing him off to college. It all makes sense since Disney wants children to not only see the film but get inspired to get all the merchandise which comes with it.
You're a piece of plastic. You were made to be thrown away.
The toys are immortal. One of the saddest things for a toy in Toy Story is to lose its owner. This is a struggle that has been focused on through Woody's perspective, Jesse's perspective in Toy Story 2, and the source for Lotso Bear's anger in Toy Story 3. An even sadder truth for these toys is the fact that they're essentially immortal. The toys will live on, going from owner to owner until they're either burned or completely destroyed. This means some of the toys could remain packed away for years and years. Others may get passed down from generation to generation, getting treated different every single time. The sad fact is that toys will live out their humans' use for them, and the future they hold is undetermined. Luckily for a majority of toys in Toy Story 3, they found a new and happy home with Bonnie when Andy left for college. Some other toys don't get to enjoy the same luxury. Imagine being a broken toy lost under a couch, or a toy that's been locked away in an attic for numerous years. You'd rather forget these toys come to life and have awareness. It's too sad to even think about. Jesse's previous owner. One of the saddest backstories in the Toy Story films comes from the character Jessie, the yodeling cowgirl. On the outside, Jessie is loud, obnoxious, and goofy, but it's clearly just a front after getting abandoned by her former owner. Although not many details were shown about Jessie's owner, fans of the series have connected the dots and theorized it's actually Andy's mom. This isn't just a random coincidence either. There is a lot of evidence to back it up and help build a strong case for the theory. The key clue to this theory comes with the hat that Andy wears. Andy's hat features white lace around the trim, but Woody's hat doesn't. During Jessie's flashback scene, the girl's hat also has a white trim on it. When Jessie's placed in the donation box, the hat isn't there. This means the young girl grew up to be Andy's mom and passed the hat down to Andy. The timeline of the flashbacks and other small clues has made this theory grow over the years. Many of the Toy Story cast and crew have commented on it. Some debunk it outright, while others are intrigued by the idea. Toy Story and The Walking Dead. Each of the Toy Story films manages to have some scary moments. The original features the mutant toys under the bed, and Toy Story 3 features some crazy scary scenes featuring Big Baby. Maybe this is why it's not too far-fetched to compare the franchise to The Walking Dead. Many fans of both have theorized they're essentially the same. The lead characters are lovable sheriffs always trying to protect the ones they love. They both want to love and protect the main kid in their life despite the child clinging to someone else. In the case of Toy Story, this is Andy's love for Buzz Lightyear. In The Walking Dead, this was Carl's love for Shane. Along with the big plot points, there are random matching things as well. For example, in Toy Story, Buzz and Woody end up fighting underneath a Pizza Planet truck. In The Walking Dead, Shane and Rick end up fighting right in front of a truck. Stylistically, the two may be completely different, but it's pretty crazy how many similarities there are between the two. Maybe Toy Story 4 will introduce a new evil toy who carries around a barbed wire baseball bat as their main weapon of choice.
Where do you think you're going?
Toy Story 3 and the Holocaust. There are a lot of things that Toy Story can take from history to create stories and content, but oddly enough, Toy Story 3 seems to take directly from the Holocaust. There are numerous themes, scenes, and moments reminiscent of the dark time in our world. Early in the film, the toys are threatened to be kicked out of their home in Andy's room, much like many citizens were forced from their homes. They initially decide to seek shelter in an attic, much like Anne Frank and others did during this time. To help keep the toys encouraged, Woody gives an impassioned speech that's very similar to a key train station scene in the Holocaust-themed film The Pianist. Later, they're brought to Sunnyside Daycare, which many have theorized is a comparison to concentration camps. The toys are treated horribly by the young children and bossed around by the leader Lotso Bear. Then the toys are faced with a fiery fate similar to many innocent victims in concentration camps. Whether you do believe the theory or not, these small comparisons are a great way to open up conversations with your children about the horrible situation and history behind the Holocaust. And there you have it. What theory do you think has the most evidence? Are there any theories we missed? Does it change the way you watch the Toy Story movies? Let us know in the comment section below.